Hi guys, it's Mark from Bike Switzerland again. This time I'm going to talk about the trim function. It's actually called the micro trim from Shimano, and it's how to micro adjust basically your front derailleur. I get a lot of people coming in and saying my gears are rubbing, especially in the front. This is a little tweak that Shimano have included so your gears do not rub in the front derailleur. It's something you should all know about, and 90% of people actually don't know about it. So you always think your front derailleur has one shift, one upward shift and one downward shift, but a single shift. It's actually got 3 clicks to it, and that's what I want to go over and show you what it does and why it does it. Something that came out with the 11 speed. Surprisingly, Campagnola's had it forever. They got like 6 clicks, but we won't go into that. We'll stick with Shimano, and let's start with the basic lever. So when you shift the front derailleur, left-hand lever, you do a full shift to get it up into the big cog. Once it's in the big cog, it automatically moves it to the furthest point. So when you go into the big ring, and as you can hear, it's actually rubbing now. But if I use the trim, you can see how the front derailleur moved in. And all it is a light click on the small shift lever to drop it. It's not a big double shift, it's just a small trim. The big blade is a full shift, release, and then half a click for the trim. Trim, undo, trim. Trim, undo, trim. You can practice while you're actually in the big blade riding to get the feel of the trim. And you can see how substantially the front derailleur moves from rubbing to not rubbing. So the chain's rubbing, trim it, chain stops rubbing. Chain rubbing on the front derailleur, trim it, stop rubbing. And the same is true when you go down the cassette at the back into your hardest gear. It's rubbing now, and when you lift the trim, it stops rubbing. Rubbing, stop rubbing. Now if you've got a Shimano 11 speed, you do have the trim. Some people use it, most people don't use it. It must become a second nature. You mustn't, thanks. You mustn't think about it. When you go up into the big blade, I automatically trim it back again because I know I'm sitting in my easiest gears in the back. So when I go shift up into my big blade, I click the trim switch automatically. And I only use the trim when I've dropped down the cassette, when I'm going fast, hardly ever, and the wind's behind me, and I'm pedaling in my 11 50, and it's rubbing. Then I hear it rubbing, and I click it the second time to stop it rubbing. So added advantage of the trim is, especially with ladies who sometimes struggle with the full shift to get it into the big blade, which is a big hand movement, put it that way. You can use the trim, you do a small click and then the big click. And it's easier to get from going from the small derailleur into the big derailleur. So let me go over it one more time. So when you want to go into the big blade, you just give a small click first. It's just a small click, and then on the second one, it lifts it into the big blade a lot easier. So what you've done is in the first half click, you've tensioned the cable up and actually moved the derailleur slightly. And then on the full click, it lifts the chain into the big ring a lot easier. Worth trying and worth playing with it. The more you play with trim, the easier it becomes. If you don't understand, pop into the store. I'll go through it with your bike. When you come in for a service, if you're struggling with it, ask me. I can actually set up the bike to limit it and help you. The big thing negative about the trim, it's actually designed around people that cross chain, which is not a good thing to start with. So if you ride cross chain, which is unfortunately inefficient, this will cater for your needs. It doesn't give you the full range, but when you're on the certain extremes, the micro trim works. Thanks a lot, that's it, and thanks Raoul.